Going to the doctor sucks.
Especially in Germany.
Here are the top 5 differences between going to the doctor in Germany versus the US. Hi, I'm Geoff.
And I'm Alex. And we're 2 Americans who've been living in Germany for over 10 years. And we're here to help you learn what it's like to be 2 Americans who've been living in Germany for over 10 years.
That is a true story. But first, go ahead and hit subscribe down below. And if you can, buy the like button, a bottle of Law's Rye. He was just in a small fender bender in his car, so might need a little pick-me-up.
Well wishes to Mr. Like Button.
Speaking of pick-me-up, today we're talking about going to the doctor's office. It's something that no matter how much you avoid it, eventually
You gotta go.
you're going to have to do it. And when you move abroad, Germany as an example, because that's what we're talking about.
It is.
The first time you go to the doctor's office, you're a little scared. You know, your German's not that good. You don't quite know how the system works.
Generally, going to a doctor's office is scary anyways, whether you're a citizen of that country or not.
Yeah.
And so when you are someone who's not from that country, it adds a whole nother level, especially like you said, with a different system, different types of doctors, different healthcare. It can be stressful. We're going to tell you how it's different so you can be prepared in the future.
But first, whiskey.
Yes.
Ooh, that's better.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Love a good rye.
I'm a rye guy.
You are a rye guy. I've heard this.
Let's start with number 1. It's the location.
Location's different. Definitely different than what I think you would expect, especially for those of you who have not been to Germany yet and think of Germany as this very efficient, advanced utopia. It is not. In the States, I think a lot of the times, at least where I came from, I would go to a doctor's office. I would kind of be like in a big doctor's clinic building.
A medical complex. You know,
Yeah.
you come to the parking lot and there's 10 different, here's
Dentists.
Here's the classic surgeon, the dentist, this, the that. Same with me in California. It was almost always in a medical center, or it was a one-off, maybe like a small practice, but still it was a standalone building that was built as a doctor's office.
100%. Now, here in Berlin and many cities in Germany, while those do exist, they're not here. A lot of the times, a doctor's office, especially a Hausarzt or a family doctor, I think
A GP,
a GP, general practitioner, would be in a normal apartment building, and you'll look at the Klinger, or also known as doorbells, and you'll see all the names of people that live there, and then you'll see 3rd floor doctor, whatever. And you buzz that, you go upstairs to a normal person's apartment building, and then you're in a doctor's office.
But it is not his apartment that he's set up in. Basically, they've taken what used to be an apartment and they've transformed it into an office. It's just strange to have to, you're entering, you're seeing people carrying their groceries up the stairs and you're walking by, and then, you 2nd, 3rd floor. And then you walk and you're like, oh, and usually, and a lot of times, at least around where I am, they're in these Altbau, meaning kind of like old, kind of fancy buildings with high ceilings, where a lot of people live. But instead, you walk in and it's like, oh, and then it's kind of this drab doctor's office instead.
Yeah, I think the biggest kind of physical difference that I notice is you're not getting that typical like medical lighting. It's just kind of normal apartment lights.
Yeah.
So they're not as bright, but they're still not like pretty enough to be like an apartment light. So it's kind of this weird in between. You're like, this doesn't feel very sanitary for a doctor's office, but
I'm hoping it is.
Get over it.
But that's number 1, the location. What's number 2?
Number 2 is Bedside Manner.
If you've gone to doctors in the US, at least in the doctor, now I'm not going to say every doctor's like this, but in terms of this comparison of American doctors to German doctors, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is that in America, and I've gone to many doctors in many different cities, I lived in many different cities, the bedside manner, meaning the attitude and how the doctor would interact with his patients, was very casual, very friendly. Usually when you first walk into the doctor's office, instead of talking about your medical condition or your medical history, the first 2 minutes is the doctor saying like, hey, how's it going? How are you enjoying the weather? Like, what do you do for work? Oh, you do film editing? That's interesting. What have you worked on? What this, that, other? And then maybe 2-3 minutes in, they'll go, okay, so why are you here today? Go ahead and, sit up on the little table. Let's take a look at you.
Table with the, Germany has those tables with the paper on them. So that does exist here.
Yeah.
And then the next time you see them, they look at their chart. How is your daughter, Samantha? And yeah, maybe it's not super genuine, but at least it makes you feel a little more comfortable because you're in a doctor's office and you're not feeling well, probably.
Yeah, so they try to calm you down. And also, when they are talking about medical things, they do it in a way saying, hey, don't worry. It could be this, but there's all these other options. Let's wait and see. Again, trying to comfort you and make you feel good about this possibly bad news that they're giving you. You know, like, don't freak out. We're going to do some tests and we'll figure it out. Don't worry. We'll be okay.
Now,
in Germany, not the same, is it?
In Germany, they're not like that. Germans are very to the point people, and doctors are no exception to that. And then you go to the doctor and they say, what's wrong? You say, I have a headache, tummy. And then they say, oh, you probably have this. Here's 2 days off of work. If you're still sick in 3 days, come back. And that's kind of like in and out in like 2-3 minutes. So yeah, that chit chat isn't really happening, which you do get in the States. The doctors aren't asking, you know, how you doing? How's your job? How's your wife? How's your kids? Whatever. They're kind of just, you know, what's wrong? Get to the point and move on.
Yeah, that's the usual experience I have. You walk in and they immediately just say, why are you here? Now, there are some random gems, and we both share a urologist that we love.
We're penis buddies.
Yeah, he has, well, it's actually bladders, because women also go to urologists.
True. We're bladder buddies.
He has an American bedside manner. When you walk in, he does a little bit of chit-chat, makes you feel comfortable, and then gets into it rather than just straight into it. Now, you could argue, hey, I don't want to be friends with my doctor, so it's all
Which
fair.
would be, I think, more of a German mindset. And like American mindset's more like, I want to be friends with everyone because we're American. That's what we do. And yeah, another big difference that you'll see is they do way less investigation on what is wrong with you at the beginning. They don't really test for maybes.
Because in the U.S., say you go in and, oh, doc, my hand's been a little numb for the past couple of days. And they're like, ooh, that could be a lot of things. Let's go ahead and order you an X-ray, an MRI. Let's do a blood test for this, and this. And they'll go over all the tests so that way quickly they can figure out exactly what's going on.
Right.
Whereas in Germany, they won't do that. Usually for things like that, oh, my hand's a little numb. They'll be like, it's probably this. Let's assume it's that. They won't go off on this large spectrum of tests like they do in the US.
No, not at all. So that can feel a little less, let's say, like cozy. Like I think my doctor made me feel a bit cozy that I'm in good hands, and here that feeling's not as much there for sure, but the care is still fine. So another thing is the treatment's a bit different, especially in terms of pain medication. Now, I do know in the States, a lot of doctors prescribe a little too much opiates, Vicodin, Percocet, all these things.
Vicodin, basically hardcore pain medication. And we're all aware that there has been like a pandemic of people overdosing from being overprescribed pills in the U.S.
And turning into heroin and fentanyl, all these things. Germans and German doctors are really, really reluctant to give away these drugs, which on one hand is a great thing. But Geoff will tell you, for him, not the best.
And I think it's great that they are reluctant so that people don't get hooked on this medication.
100%.
Very important. But sometimes they go too far to the point where you are in extreme pain and they give you nothing. Good example is I shattered my arm, broke my elbow.
Geoff's been through a lot of shit.
Yeah, I have. Bicycle accident, broke my arm. He put me in the cast and I'm like in the most extreme pain. I'm like, doctor, what do you got for me? And he gives me 200 milligrams of ibuprofen, which is the standard over-the-counter, which barely helps for headaches. And I was like, no, where's the this is not
good stuff.
This isn't going to do anything for me. And he's like, oh, just a second. He comes back. Here's the 400 milligram ibuprofen, and still, I took those. It did nothing for me. So it's sometimes they go too far in the other direction. They don't really do a lot of pain management, but I guess I understand the reasons behind it.
Yeah. Sure. And then I think the last big thing, which I know a lot of you are probably waiting for, of course, is price. Now, if you're on public health insurance, which you have to be if you have any kind of contract job, you have insurance. You're not paying anything out of pocket except for maybe a few euro for some prescriptions.
It comes out of your paycheck, so you are paying for it.
Of course,
it's not free.
like any taxes.
Right.
But you're not paying anything out of your own pocket.
And if you're a freelancer like me or a rather wealthy person, you have, now I don't have it because I'm wealthy, I have it because I'm a freelancer. Because I'm private, I basically have to pay for things as if I don't have health insurance. And then if I want to, I send the bill to my health insurance and they will pay me back if it goes above a certain point. But I can tell you, that having no health insurance in Germany is a huge difference from having no health insurance in the USA. For example, one time I went for a very minor thing to the emergency room just because it was late and the doctor's offices weren't open, so I had to go to the emergency room. In the US, a small minor thing was there, treated for maybe 5 minutes. They ended up giving me a few ibuprofen, I believe it was. That whole situation cost me $700 or $800 in the US. And on the other side is when I broke my arm, I went to the emergency room, I got x-rays, I got the cast, I even got an IV of fluid, I can't remember exactly what it was. All in all, that whole night cost me $160.
Oh, wow. That's a huge difference.
Huge difference. That experience in the US would have been thousands at the emergency room.
Yeah.
So I hope that's a good example of the cost difference. And I also had eye surgery recently. The whole thing cost me a few $100s rather than a few $1,000s. So huge difference in price.
You can look forward to that if you're coming over to Germany. And I think that is all the doctor has on his pad today.
I don't think so. I think he gave us a prescription for some rye.
Oh, nice.
What are you feeling?
I like this a lot. I'm going to give it good.
I'm going to give it a great.
Okay. And everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy, and
stay thirsty.
There it is.
Cheers.
Today we're talking about the top 5 things. It's top 5 things. We're talking about the Here are top 5. Here are the top 5 things that are different between visiting and